I said rise, rise, my brothers, rise. Hey!
Yeah. It's like Judgment Day for a hater. It's Mr. 300 degrees in a pen.
It's time to get busy.
It's me. As we proceed to give you what you need, a round of applause for yours truly. Don't ask me for nothing else. One more time, we at it again. One time for the one time.
They gon' tell me I'm acting new, cause I already picked my side. I already picked my side. I already picked my side.
No song for the weak. Don't step up to the plate if you ain't even got the scars to compete. I ain't hard for you to seek. Who hiding? If the most high behind them, two could turn away 1,000. Who riding? We pay for every mile, perfect timing. Everything we drop and be atomic, catastrophic aftermath. When I'm rhyming every rap, I remind them you gon' land how a kamikaze land, trying to box for God's hands. Welcome to the light, brightness, nothing like it. Righteous, morally cleaned up, but don't test me. If the weapons of our warfare physical, physically you in shape, but your brain baking. A book with blank pages, it's sacred. The way of escape, the fake hated. The gates close and they won't make it. It's no saving them. Stones breaking up, volcanoes erupting, got you wondering if something is coming. High road traveler, a follower after a top collar. The scholars been writing about the one who calling them out. Northwest, east to the south, king on the clouds without any reasonable doubt. Your head gon' drop, knees to the ground. It's shocking, I can imagine having to witness how a scroll unfold. I'm still focused, a warrior spirit, I still hold it. Better days approaching as soon as the seal's broken.
They gon' tell me I'm acting new, cause I already picked my side. I already picked my side. I already picked my side.
I'd be a fool if I ever should forfeit this kind kind of endurance you can't ignore. We aiming to change the score. Pain to the core, then the core get placed on a page. Until the coroner get paid to come take me away. It's fourth quarter, breaking now is a flagrant foul. Last shot, face the crowd, take a bow. Cause when the odds on us, the eyes on us. Waiting to see if you verifiable or deniable. Concrete, a reliable source. It's never beneficial if you cracking the pieces on your back. Defeated, we strategizing in secret. With a plan to make non-believers believers. With a hope that you see us on. If you see us, we point back to the maker. The one who designed us not to be common. A pilgrim in a foreign territory. I know the rest of the story. Flawless, enemies fall when victory calls, and the rest will be history. I can never move back. I'm lacing myself by the bootstraps. I thought I was on my own. I waved to the sky, then the angel saluted back. With an army behind them is terrifying. Stepping down with assignments, wrath in the bowl, pour it out. Stars crash in a roll when the scroll unfolds. I'm still focused, a warrior spirit, I still hold it. Better days approaching as soon as the seal's broken. Yeah. Don't ask me for nothing else. Yeah.
Most people just wear clothes, but some wear a message, a reminder of who we are and who we stand for. This isn't fast fashion, it's covenant, it's culture, it's identity, built with purpose, designed to last, created for those who refuse to blend in. When you step out, let your garments speak. Before you do, join the movement.
I'm wearing an Israelites brand.
That's when I be yelling, I'm Jew by blood. Y'all dudes not us. And I don't believe in y'all, but in y'all I trust. I'm just a common coolie commandment keeper. I know it's hard to live righteously in the land of evil. They got you feeling like damaged goods around damaged people. And truly life is a movie, just can't demand a sequel. Verily, all you hypocrites, heresies, and Pharisees only fear God, so I know the devil's scared of me. They stole us from our land, they stole our land.
Coming with a mouthful of gold and gold chains around our neck.
That's why they think of airing me, saying what God's saying, like a parakeet preparing for the
Shop the collection now before it sells out. Click the link below and secure yours today.
I hope y'all like that. That was Supplication by Roy the Chef. It's dangerous out here. I hope you guys make it home safe.
Why is she eating? She just like, yeah, they would say, she's just crazy. But he's saying. Yo, check it out. You ain't worried about that.
Yo, what was that about? Don't worry about it. You wouldn't understand.
Welcome to Pillars of Rest, where you can find special material for our sisters, by our sisters. This is a Sons of Thunder exclusive platform focused on building, encouraging, uplifting, and engaging with the daughters of Zion. Here you'll find personalized and interactive content geared towards showing what it truly means to be a pillar of rest. Interviews, scripture breakdowns, tips on motherhood, marriage, and testimonials are just the beginning of the many things to learn from and enjoy in this program.
You bought to a lower state, you must learn learn to be patient. You come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. Who trusted Yah was misled and not past generations. No one forsaken, you mistaken if you ain't obeying. No lying on no tail bearing. Get thee behind me, Satan. That's my brother, no bloodshed. Get thee behind me, Satan. No idolatry, no adultery.
Yeah.
To wrestle against the evils of this world, because the scriptures say what? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and evil and wickedness in the high places, man. Right? That's what you're fighting against, man.
Why are fighting the evil powers? The bombs, the medicine, something to ease our spirit, something to ease our soul. Where's the medicine for our land? Where's the medicine for our people today? But we got it right here.
When you come into this truth, you gotta know what you're signing up for. That's why the scriptures say, wait, if you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. That's how you come to talk that tower. Right? That's
right. That purges you and makes you clean physically. But this is a great parable, but purges you.
Live longer. We here for what we here for. What you here for? The story to tell. I don't know where my story gonna end, but if I wake up, I'll do it again. I just gotta live longer.
Yo, shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. Shalom, shalom. All praise. I think that's you. I got you. All right, there we go. All right, shalom, family, shalom. We are back for another Truth Tuesday. All praise to the Most High God. We are back. I'm your host. All right. With me today, we got Captain Kwabza Allah. We got Soldier Yaraya. And we got Soldier Kayal with us tonight. All right. Give it up for the panel and give it up for yourselves for being back here for another Truth Tuesday. Salakia for starting so late, family. You know, I had a lot of errands to run tonight. It was a very, very busy day for me. All right. So Salakia for starting so late. In the future, I will do my best to make sure that we start on time at 8:45. Okay. But I really appreciate y'all. Putting in work and staying on at these late hours to learn some new things, man. All right. Because tonight we're going into part two of our expose of the attempted cover-up, right, of the Jewish involvement in slavery. All right, but before we get into that, you already know how we do. Get into some of these announcements, all right, like we do every week. Remember, new moon is coming up, all right? The third month, the month of Sivan is coming up, May 16th. May 16th. Salakia for my voice right now. My sinuses are kind of acting up as well. May 16th is the third month. All right. Make sure that you're sending your emails to SOT Feast Day at gmail.com. Listen, for any feast day or gathering that SOT is hosting, you must email SOT Feast Day, not SOT Israelites, but SOT Feast Day at gmail.com. It's right there at the bottom of the flyer. SOT Feast Day at gmail.com if you wish to RSVP for any of our feast days or any of our gatherings. Okay? Salakia. For my brothers out there who want to do the work, all right, make sure you send your emails to sotisraelites at gmail.com. Expressing interest in joining the next prospect phase. This Cash App right here at the bottom is incorrect. The proper Cash App is SOT Donate. Again, the proper Cash App is SOT Donate. So we will fix this on the flyer in the future. Okay? For my sisters out there who want to do the work, make sure you email pillarsofrest@gmail.com, expressing interest in joining the next prospect phase. I believe we just started a a Pillars of Rest prospect phase. All right, and we also just started a prospect phase for Sons of Thunder. Okay, so if you want to join the next prospect phases in the future, make sure you email SOT Israelites, or if you're a sister, email pillarsofrest@gmail.com. Or if you would like to be of the member status, the members rank, right? Email SOTisraelites@gmail.com and put in the subject matter members rank. Put in the subject matter members rank. Put in the subject matter members rank, and express how you would like to be in the members rank of Sons of Thunder. All right. Though for those of you who are unfamiliar with the members rank, that's for those of you who don't want the responsibility that comes with being a soldier or being a Pillars of Rest. All right, but you want to stay tapped in, if you will. Right? Email SOTisraelites@gmail.com, members rank as the subject matter. Okay. All right. Make sure that y'all are tuning in to the best spiritual edification on the planet, right? The best spiritual edification on the internet. That's our Patreon, right? It's Patreon, yo. Like, I mean, come on. I can't really scream right now, so
it's like it one.
I gotta talk that phone. Right?
I just wanted to add something real quick that's coming to the Patreon, man. Me and Captain Shalimah earlier had a very good conversation with a Christian about a few topics concerning, the law being done away with, concerning the Trinity, concerning many different things, man. We got some exclusive camp footage as well coming to the Patreon as well. So definitely, if you have not already tapped in, make sure you lock in with, of course, the SOT Patreon, man. The lineup is all-star, right? Of course, from our Captain's Corner, our feast days, our behind the scenes, the resources. Like I said, we got some coming for the exclusive camps, the debates, and the tribal fitness, and the Pillars of Rest. All these different things are coming, and of course, coming in hot, man. So definitely tap in if you have not already, man, with our Patreon. I'm gonna yield there, other one.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's right. All right. Make sure that y'all are keeping up with our live classes every Tuesday. What you're on right now is Truth Tuesday. All right. You got Conversation for the Nation every Thursday night with Adonai Kaya. All right, and Captain Dirac. All right. You got Friday night Sabbath class with the General Yahweh All. You got After Hours with Captain Shalimah out of the Bay Area. And then you got the Bar for Bar every Saturday morning with Captain Yaikwab, all right, and Captain Nakawasha. All right. So make sure that you're tuning into our live classes. Also, Brother Kwabza Allah, would you like to inform the people of your live class?
Counter one. Hey, Israel. Every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the SOT Chicago page, we will be holding Prove All Things every week live, man. Prove All Things live, which will be a live, which is where we will take live debates, discussions, Q&As will be weekly from now on that platform. So definitely, if you have any questions, you got questions, from the general, from the leadership of SOT, hey, man, bring them there every week, man. And most time we'll get them answered through the Spirit. Even if I can't cover it that week, come back next week and I got you, man. Yo, tap in with, of course, that platform. Most time we're going to get some really good edifying conversations and discussions, mini lessons and whatnot, man. But hey, stay tuned in. SOT Chicago page, man. Next week of May the 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, I gotta talk that out. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. We have a SOT Chicago with a Sunday class now. Come on, man. The word is going forth. You can't stop the Most High God's truth. It's too powerful, right? It's way too powerful.
That's right.
truth, but for the truth. Khan, right?
Count it one.
That's all the announcements that we have for tonight. Trying to think. I feel like I'm missing something. No, that's all the announcements we have for tonight, right? So let's go ahead and get right into it. There was some wisdom that was shared with me, and I would like to share it with y'all as well, right? So, you know, ever since you were children, right? Ever since you were children, you were always told you could be whatever you want. You could be anything in the world, right? Ever since you was a child, right? You know, Lord willing, you know, you all had that type of relationship with your parents or whoever your guardian was, that they expressed to you that you can be whatever you want, right? You can do anything, right? And then we grew up, right? We got older, you know, we started experiencing, you know, life, you know, and we started to realize something. We started to realize that I can't be anything I want. That's a lie, right? But why did you start telling yourself that's a lie? Why did you start saying, well, I can't be anything that I want? Because you realize the type of work that it takes to get to that position, the type of work that you have to put in to get to that position, right? So you started to realize the time that it's going to take, right? The hours, the money, right? All these different aspects. You started to take all this into account and realize, well, saying that I can be anything that I want is not true. So you started making yourself comfortable with the lie of I can't be anything I want to be, right? Because that is the lie. The lie is telling yourself that you can't be anything that you want to be, right? And that lie comes about because you don't want to put in the proper work that it takes to achieve your childhood goal, right? Your dream, to achieve your dream, right? Because when you're a child, you're looking at life through rose-colored lenses. You don't understand, you know, the details and the logistics of life until you get older, right? And that's when it all starts hitting you. But that shouldn't discourage you. You should not allow that to discourage you, right? You, in fact, can be whatever you want to be. You have the power and the tools and the knowledge to do that. You do. You just have to put in that proper work. You have to put in that proper time, right? Think about it like this. God had specially and carefully handcrafted you with a singular purpose. That singular purpose is greatness, right? I mean, damn it, you're an Israelite. Your entire purpose is greatness. So go forth and be great, right? What did David say? I am wonderfully and fearfully made, right? Or is that Solomon that said that? Am I correct saying that's
I believe
David?
that's David that said that, but that's a great point.
Right? He said, I am wonderfully and fearfully made. Right? And David was king of Israel. David was ruler of the free world. If you think about it, right? Because Israel subdued all the nations during David's rulership, right? For a time, right? And David was great. He was mighty. His name is will forever be remembered for all time's sake. Right? Job said, because I started recently rereading Job, right? Job said this. This is what Job said. I don't want to misquote him, right? Job is my favorite book. Look at what Job said, right? Watch this. This is Job 19 and 23, right? Hold on. Let me pull it. I want to pull up the nice looking one. Right? No, that's not the right one. Here we go. Look at this. Watch this. Look at what Job said, man. And it really caught my attention because I was just like, wow. You know, it really almost brought tears to it brought tears to my eyes, right? Look at this. So, albeit this is Job, you know, in his affliction, and he's crying out to the Lord. But read what he said. Yariyah.
Khan of the one. This is the book of Job, chapter 19, verse 23. Oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book.
Job said, oh, that my words were now written. Oh, that they were printed in a book, right? And as I'm reading that, it felt so surreal reading it because I'm like, wow, look at you now, Job, right? Your words and your account is recorded for eternity, right? Your greatness is recorded for eternity. And it's taught to generations upon generations upon generations that we can look and marvel at and behold and say, surely Job was a great man. And we should aspire to that greatness, right? So I bring this passage up to, you know, to emphasize the fact that you were made with the singular purpose of greatness, of being great. So you can't hold yourself back with the pessimism thoughts of, well, that's impossible because it requires me to do this and do that. Well, you can do this and do that. David, the Most High told David, you know, if these things would have been too little for you, I would have given you such and such things, right? The scriptures teach us that. Ask and ye shall receive. It shall be given unto you, right? So you're destined for greatness. That is your purpose. Your sole purpose is being great. So go and be great, all right? Go and be great. Nothing can limit you. Nothing can limit you. You are the children of the highest. Nothing can limit you. Go ahead, Ad.
Counter to one. Let me get Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 10 real quick. Man, I was thinking about this earlier. I don't know what brought this precept to me, but I was speaking to some brothers on a call earlier about this same exact thing, man. Although you may have to start at some point and the road may seem to where you want to get to seem far, right? Even still, it may dang near look impossible, right? But at the same time, where it all begins with is that will. What they say in the world is where there's a will, there's a way. And there's a lot of truth to that statement. But don't be afraid of starting small. Read this.
Another one. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 10. For who hath despised of the day? You said verse 9 or 10?
Of 10.
Salakia. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they
So
shall rejoice.
don't despise small beginnings, right? You having to start and build from the ground up, right? That's where our forefathers was at this point in time, where they had to come back and rebuild the whole temple onto the Lord. They had to start from the ground up. But what it started with was, again, that small beginning, right? You taking that first step. Shoot, I got a man, in order for me to become an astronaut, I gotta get a degree in this. I gotta start here. I gotta have this education. But what does it begin with? That desire in order to do it, that desire in order to get it done, right? You may have to start small, but don't despise that thing, right? Because it says what? For they shall rejoice at the end of that thing, right? You gonna reap, you gonna get out what you put in. So you having to start out small with what it is that you want to build or grow into. Every plant, every tree that you see started out as a small seed. But it's that tall, towering plant that you see over you that's giving you shade. You may want to get to a certain level within your spirit. You may want to get to a certain level within your walk. You overcoming whatever temptation comes your way. You overcoming whatever trials or adversities you may come into. But don't despise you starting small, you having to call somebody up. Don't despise you starting small. Man, I got to read more. I got to pray more. You having to start small within these things, right? Because again, you can be anything that you want to be up in this thing. As a matter of fact, it's up to you to carve out that role for you. It's not the Lord's job to quench your spirit. And he's going to work with you to give you what it is that you need in order to make that thing happen. He put the spirit, he put the zeal within you in order to make you want to do it. So he's going to give you the strength and the abilities and the resources to be able to get it done. But you got to trust that thing. That goes into faith as well, man. It's just like you said, Yapa put in the chat, it says, grow in stature when you got to grow and you got to start small, man. Don't despise that small beginning, that humble beginning, man. Right? And I'm going to yield the other one.
That's right, Ak. Very well said. Very well said. Right? Go forth and be great, Israel. All right? Now, let's get into this. Right? Let's get into Khan. Very good precept. Right? The greater you are, the more humble you should be. So don't dislike the humble beginnings. Exactly. Exactly. Right? Let's get into this. So, Tuesday before last, y'all know we briefly covered the Jewish hand in slavery, right? Where we went into a couple of different sources, indicating the business practices and the stocks that Jews had in the slave trade, right? One of their stocks being in the Portuguese company, right? I forget the exact name of it, but it's if you look up the Portuguese company, I'm sure it will pull up, right? They invested heavily into that slave market, right? Because it was a direct competitor with theirs. And it was it was such a big competitor against them that they eventually invested all of their money into it and became shareholders, major shareholders, right? All that is covered in this class right here of the Jewish hand in slavery. So tonight is part 2 of the Jewish role in slavery, right? We're unturning these stones. The scriptures say that in the book of Micah, that they will crawl out of their holes on their bellies like worms and lick up the dust of the earth, right? And that's what we're doing right now in the spirit. We're pulling them out of their holes, right? uncovering their secret places. Because this is history and information that you will never, ever learn in the school system. Ever. You will never be taught this history in the school system. Right? Because we know who the school system is ran by. Hell, we know who this country is ran by. I say that this is the United
Right.
States of Israel. That's why I don't call this the United States of America anymore.
Right.
The United States of Israel, ran by Big Yahoo himself, right? Your president, Donald Trump, answers to Big Yahoo. I mean, the facts are there, man, right? Without further ado, let's get into it. So, we're uncovering, right, these truths, right? I'll share my screen real quick. This right here on screen is a book called Jews Selling Blacks, Slave Sale Advertising by American Jews. Right? Can y'all see my screen? Might have to zoom in a little bit when we start reading. Right? Jews Selling Blacks, Slave Sale Advertising by American Jews. Y'all are on Truth Tuesday. In the description of Truth Tuesday, it says, we dive into biblical prophecy and history, determining whether or not if it be true or false. Right? This is history that we're diving into. Right? And the history that we're uncovering is the Jewish role in the slave trade. Right? Now, you know, your ultra conservatives who are your Trumpites, right? Your Trumpites and, you know, your Zionists and, you know, all these other people who align themselves with the Jews today will argue you tooth and nail on the impact that the Jewish people had in slavery, right? They would even say, well, oh, you know, Jewish people actually emancipated slaves, right? They'll use those soft arguments against you, right? Which is, in fact, yes, some Jews did emancipate their slaves, but let's not pretend that that was just out the kindness of their heart and not a business venture, right? Let me prove that to you. Let me show you why I said that, right? Watch this. Watch this. Oops. Let me pull it up. Right? Where is it? Here we go. Y'all know this man right here, right? Y'all know this guy. Oh, let me zoom in. Can y'all see?
Count to one. We can see him.
Y'all know this man right here, right? That's the 16th president of the United States. Abraham Lincoln, who is also apparently a vampire killer. You know, if y'all watch that movie. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of a good movie, I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw it, I was entertained. But anyways, right? This is Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. This is a letter in reply to Horace Greeley on slavery and the Union, the restoration of the Union, the paramount object, right? So, brother Uriah, could you please read this letter to Horace Greeley?
Kind of the one. You want me to start with Dear Sir?
Yes.
Okay. Dear Sir, I have just read yours of the 19th, addressed to myself through the New York Tribune. If there be in it any statements or assumptions of fact which I may know to be erroneous, I do not know assumptions. Oh, Salakia. I do not know and here controvert them. If there be in it any inferences which I may believe to be falsely known,
Drawn.
drawn, Salakia, may believe to be falsely drawn, I do not now and here argue against them. If there be perceptible in it an impatient and dictatorial tone, I waive it in deference to an old friend whose heart I have always supposed to be right. As to the policy I seem to be pursuing, I say, as you say, I have not meant to leave anyone in doubt. I would have saved the Union. I would save it the shortest way under the Constitution. The sooner the national authority can be restored, the nearer the Union will be the Union as it was. If there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time save slavery, I do not agree with them. If there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time destroy slavery, I do not agree with them. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save this Union. And what I forbear. Oops, I get lost myself. Oh, there we go. I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union. I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I'm doing hurts the cause. And I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. I shall try to correct errors when shown to be errors. And I shall adopt new views so fast as they shall appear to be true views. I have here stated my purpose according to my view of official duty, and I intend no modification of my oft-expressed personal wish that all men everywhere could be free. Yours, Abraham Lincoln.
Hey, see that? Now, I want to confess something to y'all, right? I remember when I was a child, when I was in elementary school, I believe I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. The teacher was asking us who's our favorite president. I raised my hand. She said, Mr. Viner. I said, my favorite president is Abraham Lincoln because he freed the slaves, right? Of course, being ignorant to the true reason and intent of why Abraham Lincoln emancipated the slaves. Here's a little brief history for y'all, right? The reason why the South wanted to secede, wanted to secede from the Union was because the South looked at its resources and was like, damn, we're making a lot of money off this slavery stuff. We have enough money to become our own country. We don't need the North, right? So in short, that's the whole reason why they wanted to secede from the North, was because, well, you know, we have plenty of money and resources to become our own nation, right? We don't need the industry of the North because the North was very industrious, right? We don't need the industry of the North. We have our own resources here off of the backs of these slaves, right? So the North was like, oh no, if they secede from us, right? If they secede from the rest of the United States, then we lose all that tax money that we're garnering in from slavery, right? So in order to subdue the South and make them obey, we have to completely emancipate the slaves, get rid of their way of financial freedom, because their way of financial freedom is slavery. Let's take that away from them, right? Hence why you have Abraham Lincoln saying himself, right? Where is it? If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. So it was really, he plays it off to be as he was impartial to it, but no. This was a financial strategy. This was an economic strategy, right? This was economic warfare, right? Exactly, Azbad. You can start up a country from off the back of our people. That's how all this was built, off the back of our ancestors, right? That is true also, warrior. The Union was taxing the South a lot heavier, right? Because of the mass surplus of income, right? Of money that was being made in the South because of slavery, right? Yes, as is every decision in the United States, not for the people at all, only for their own personal interest, right? So, no, Kaya Viner in 3rd grade, you're incorrect. Abraham Lincoln didn't free the slaves out of the kindness of his heart. No, he emancipated the slaves to subdue the South. Right? That's how Esau moves. That's how Esau is. Right? So why did I bring this up though? I brought this up to drive home the point of slavery didn't end, or slave masters, the predominantly slave masters didn't emancipate their slaves out the kindness of their heart. It's because they had to, right? It's because they had to. Otherwise, the slave would be a financial burden because it was no longer legal. So when you had Jews emancipating slaves, if somebody comes to you with that argument, ask them, well, in what manner were they emancipating their slaves? And watch them short circuit. Watch them start buffering. Right? Let's get to this document.
It's a lucky one.
Go ahead.
That's just another quick point just to show just how evil our enemy is. And this goes to show that it's literally nobody but the Most High God that can force their hand in order for them to undo any kind of affliction that they've placed upon us. Because again, it was always him from the jump. So for them to be so greedy and for them to say, well, you know what? The bite had to be put on them in order for them to literally say, well, you know what? Okay, shackles off. Y'all can go. And It wasn't even like that because, shoot, right after that, we had to go right into what?
Sharecropping, right? Jim Crow, right?
Segregation.
Hey, that goes into next Tuesday's class, right? We're going to be diving into segregation and integration and all that, you know, the behind the scenes matters of all that, right? That's going to be a good one. Y'all don't want to miss that one. I'm telling you, right?
Counter one.
No,
I yield.
Salaki.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add to your point, because when they did that, when they abolished slavery, A woman named Michelle Alexandra wrote a book called The New Jim Crow. It's a real good book, and it shows how when they so-called abolished slavery, all they did was change the name of it and change the institution of it. So, like you said, they was going like, for instance, they called it they drafted the 13th Amendment, and in the 13th Amendment it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So they came out with the black codes, right? So first they took the plantations that the slave owners had, and they said, okay, we're not going to take your slaves away from you. We want you to do is we want you to we're going to create sharecropping, and we're going to cut your plantation up into parts and parcels. And then the same slaves that you had on your plantation, you're going to set them up on each one of these parcels, right? And you're going to make a store on your plantation. So now all the tools, all the supplies that these ex-slaves, still slaves, need, they're gonna have to come buy from you or come purchase from you, right? You're gonna give them credit, and then they're gonna have to pay you every month or whatever, right? And you're gonna charge them an exorbitant interest rate. So by the time the end of the month comes, they're gonna be in debt to you. If they can't pay your debt, then they go to these debtors prisons, basically to the coal mines, which is going to be owned by other plantation owners who might have coal mines, cotton fields, tobacco fields, sugar cane, whatever, and they're gonna work for you. So all they're doing is just transferring the slaves and making the slaves now, instead of you having to supply their food, clothing, and shelter, now the slaves had to provide their own food, clothing, and shelter. So all it did was transferred it, made them more money. I land with that.
Wow. Their wickedness is deep, as the scriptures say. Their heart is deep, right? That's one of the precepts that Cause of Allah brought out one time, right? Their heart is deep. Their ways are deep, right? Because they're so evil. They're so wicked. It astonishes me how evil and wicked the so-called white man is, right? Let's get into this book. This book, right, was comprised by the Nation of Islam, right? The NOI, our brothers, right? They're our brothers, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not, right? The Black Church is our brothers, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not, right? We are the Black Church, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not. Captain Asha Allah said something very important when we were leaving the young sister's Princess Tiana's funeral. He said, brothers got to stop looking at the Black Church as their enemy. We're the Black Church.
That's right.
Brothers, we got to stop looking at the Black Church as our enemy. They're just lost. They're confounded and confused. It's our job, it's our duty to bring them to the light, right? You don't bring your enemies to the light. Your enemies are the other nations. Right. These people are your family, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not. All right? Go ahead, Art.
Counter to one, not giving up on our people. Right. Devil wins when he do that, right? This the hope that we should have is, of course, that the same light that was shined within our lives that brought us from out of the darkness in the lives that was in, that same light can shine within them to the point where passing out, pimping out the sisters that sitting in the front pews, to the point where the children is in all manner of madness and wickedness, right? To the point where, the bishops is DL, right? All these different abominable things, all these different crazy and madness that we have going on in the black church, we should pray that the Most High pulls them out of that same thing and shows them how to love the Most High and how to have that zeal for him with accurate knowledge, man. And I'm gonna yield there. I don't want.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's begin, man. Soldier Kayal, could you start reading, please?
Kind of one. This book presents disturbing evidence of American Jewish participation in the black African slave trade. Jewish merchants from all over the world participated in the inhumane trade in black human beings, often dominating some of the most important slave trading markets. Jews were particularly active in Brazil and in the Caribbean.
Now, if
And much of the
our first class concerning this, remember, right? The Jews invested heavily into the Portugal company, the Portuguese company, right? Invested heavily into that and became major shareholders, major stock shareholders, right? I'm just pointing that out because that covers that as well. The Brazil and in the Caribbean, they were very involved in those areas, right? Go ahead.
and much of their activity occurred outside the eventual boundaries of the United States, long before it was established as a nation in 1776. Some Jewish scholars have used U.S. Census records, which show modest Jewish slaveholding, to diminish the role of Jews as major owners of black human beings.
Now listen to
This
this.
ha-
Right? Now that's important, right? Some Jewish scholars have used U.S. Census records to try to diminish, right, the involvement that Jews had in slavery. That is true, right? Because there's a document, right? Let me share my screen real quick. This document kind of goes into that, right? This right here. This is from the National Archives, right? It's titled Jews and Negro Slavery in the Old South by Bertram Wallace Corn. Now, if you email SOTWatchTower@gmail.com, I could send this article to you. All right, I can send this article to you so that you can save it and so that you won't have to have the hassle of going to the National Archives and looking for it. All right. Yes, thank you for fair use. So that goes directly into that article, right? And that article also touches a lot of points of what we're about to read on in this as well, right? Brother Nick, I'll send that to you. Just email me, okay? Let's continue on.
and much of their activity occurred outside the eventual boundaries of the United States, long before it was established as a nation in 1776. Some Jewish scholars have used U.S. Census records which show modest Jewish slaveholding to diminish the role of Jews as major owners of black human beings. This, however, is highly misleading. Jews were twice as likely as the general population of American whites to own Africans. Moreover, many Jewish merchants were simultaneously retailing dozens, even hundreds of Africans through their business enterprises. The 1830 census showed that all of the Jews of Charleston, South Carolina, claimed to own a total of 104 black human beings, but a single Jew, Jacob Cohen, on a single day in 1857, offered for sale 125 rice Negroes. That same year, the same Mr. Cohen teamed with a Gentile and advertised almost twice that number, 210, in a single day. Jewish slave traders, by economic necessity, tried to turn over their black human merchandise as quickly as possible, and this brief ownership of Africans by many Jewish merchants is not reflected in the census records. Nevertheless, in marketing the products of slave labor and supplying plantations with items of commerce, even buying and selling whole plantations along with the slaves, Jewish merchants helped make slavery profitable in America.
This is also a fact, right? That PDF, right? That document in the National Archives goes into that as well. You have people like Judah P. Benjamin, right? Who's a notorious Jewish slave owner, known for being very cruel to his slaves, right? You know, that goes into that, how the wills that they left when they died, right, instructed for their slaves to be sold, right, or given to their next of kin, often with no specific task attached to them, right? So that goes into all of that, right? Let's keep reading on.
Jews were primarily merchants in slide down. He went down too far. Jews were primarily merchants in America, and as a group, Jews had developed a highly advanced and unparalleled business, financial, and mercantile network wherein slaves and the products of slave labor found a ready market and a worldwide distribution. Cotton, sugar, tobacco, corn, wheat, gold, fur, lumber, as well as all manner of manufacturers such as clothing, textiles, furniture, tools and hardware, etc., were fed into this massive trading network, generating extraordinary wealth, which fueled which fueled America's astonishing growth, as can be seen in the text of these advertisements. Jewish merchants regarded black human beings as simply another commodity to be funneled into their international trading network.
I mean, of course, right? Of course. Go ahead.
The reader will note the extraordinary amount of slave trading carried on by the South Carolina Jews. In fact, long before the American Jewish population became concentrated in New York, the center of the Jewish community in the slavery era was Charleston. The city had the largest population of Jews in the country and was considered the Western Hemisphere's very center of Jewish wealth and culture. The origin
That city had the largest population of Jews in the country and was considered the Western Hemisphere's very center of Jewish wealth and culture. And their wealth was off the backs of our people. Ain't that something? Go ahead.
The origin of Reform Judaism, the branch of Judaism practiced today by the vast majority of American Jews, began in Charleston in 1825. And when the Jewish reformers in that city announced their new Judaism to the general public, they appealed to all who are influenced by tolerant and unprejudiced feelings. They explained that their actions would extol the force and the beauty of the moral law and eschew those practices that partake strongly in bigotry, all in the honor of Almighty God. Yet, this very same appeal was signed by several Jewish slave owners and printed on the very same page of the City Gazette and Commercial Daily Advertiser, September 11th, 1826, wherein Jewish merchants Abraham Tobias offered for sale and warranted the character of a prime young Negro fellow.
Look at that. They speak with forked tongues.
Mhm.
Let's get that scripture. Let's get that scripture. They speak with forked tongues. Right?
You want the words of his mouth?
Yes. Psalms 55 and 21.
Counter the one. I got just came across another verse too.
Bring it out.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 52 and verse 2.
Uh-huh.
It says, "Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs continually." It's like it. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness.
And they lie rather than to speak righteousness. Their tongue is like a razor, right? And they love lying rather than speaking righteously. So they, on one hand, say that we accept those who eschew bigotry in honor of the Almighty God, but yet those who are signing this are slaveholders themselves. Abraham Tobias selling young black women. There's guile in their mouths. Exactly. Read Psalms 55:21. Read that.
Another one. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, for war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yet were they drawn swords. Listen. Y'all, I know each and every one of y'all have encountered so-called white person, right? Who tries to win you over with their words, right? All the time, to this day, try to win you over with their words, right? A white woman's tears, right? White women's tears is one of the most dangerous things on this planet. You understand? Right. A lot of our brothers were killed over white women's tears, right? In their heart is war, and in their tongue is drawn swords. Man, this is how they operate. Their rust is not wiped away because they were specifically made to rust. They were made as a vessel to dishonor. Keeping it real with you. On Truth Tuesday, we keep it real with you. We don't filter anything on Truth Tuesday. Because you want the truth, right? That's why you're on here. Right? For those of you that come across this video, that's why you're on here. Right? Let's go back to this article. Let's jump to right here. Some slave advertising. Some slave sale advertising by the Jews. Let's see how it went. Go ahead, Yaraya.
Another one. Synagogue officials and even rabbis sold black people. Rabbi Jacob Levine sold 22 likely Negroes for investment purposes. He states in his ad, long before the Nazis forced Jews to wear yellow stars, Jewish police were threatening Charleston blacks with corporal punishment if they did not present their slave badges to any white man who asked. A Jew seeking his runaway Negro informs the public that she had badge number 2090, which proved that she was his property. Other Jewish constables incarcerated blacks they suspected of being runaways and advertised their descriptions in the public newspapers. Another Jew in the role of city assessor reminded his fellow Charleston citizens through a newspaper notice that taxes were due on their slave property. Anyone who might assist his runaway, one Jew threatens, shall be prosecuted with the utmost rigor of the law. In one particularly callous display, a prominent Jew merchant, Abraham Sextus, composed poetry for his ad, which reads in part, he has for sale some Negroes male, will suit full well for grooms. He has likewise some of their wives, can make clean dirty rooms. For planting too, he has a few to sell for the cash of various price, to work the rice or bring them to the lash. The young ones true, if that will do, may same be had of him. To learn your trade, they may be made, or bring them to your trim. If you buy them of me, he assures, whatever you say, they will obey. These advertisements represent proof of substantial Jewish involvement in the greatest criminal endeavor in the history of the world, the Black Holocaust.
These creatures were making poetry off of your suffering. Not in the sense of how we do it, because our poetry, that being hip hop or rap, right? How it originally started, of course, right? Our poetry expressing our pain was to get people to hear and understand our pain. But these creatures use your pain as a marketing tool, as sport. Look at what Psalm 73 and 8 says. Read that.
Count another one. Count another one. Psalm 73 and 8. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily.
What does loftily mean? Let's look that word up. What does loftily mean? Read that.
Count another one. Lofty is an adverb meaning to act, speak, or behave in a proud, haughty, or superior manner. It describes a condescending, arrogant approach, often implying a sense of superiority or an elevated, patronizing tone. It can also literally mean in an elevated or high-minded position.
So they speak arrogantly and haughty and proudly concerning our oppression. They speak corruptly concerning our oppression. I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. One time, right? One time, my brother, Captain Asha Allah, right? Elementary school. We went to a school called Livesey Elementary, right? And Livesey Elementary was predominantly a white school, right? And one of his teachers, he could probably tell you this story better than me. One of his teachers, said, the reason why they had slaves is because who else would be able to do all this work? They needed somebody to help them with this work. That's what she said. Again, Captain Asha Allah could tell y'all this story better than me. That's what this grown woman, this white lady, said to a class of children, right? Predominantly white children. So that goes to show you the mindset that they're implementing in their children. They're implementing the mindset, a haughty mindset, a proud mindset concerning our oppression.
Right.
And those black kids who are in that class, right, if they weren't properly educated at home, like me and my brothers were, right, will walk away from class believing the reason why slavery existed was because it was just so much work that needed to be done, and white people just needed help with their work.
Out of one, then you walk away leaving thinking that it wasn't as bad as we try to make it seem to be.
It wasn't as bad as we try to make it seem. Exactly. Go ahead.
this is helping, you know, just all the while, shoot, it blindsides you completely from the atrocities that you and your people faced during that time period, right? And of course, they try to make it null and void concerning the things that we still go into today. Like the brother Kenneth Nansen in the chat said, that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm 100% with that. Just for hell. I'm gonna yield there out of one. I don't want to.
Go ahead.
Kind of the one. I was just a social studies teacher in middle school, and throughout the curriculum, we have bits and pieces of the transatlantic slave trade in it. And even the way that they put the language makes you think, oh, it wasn't so bad. Like it wasn't always African Americans or African American people who were enslaved, but they also got people from other places and other races. And then it'll say people also came from Jamaica.
Right.
And so like I had to break it down and be like, listen, y'all, I had to tell the kids, the people who were in Jamaica and the people who were in America, they came off the same slave ship. They put an investigation on me. Parents was complaining. I had to go to the principal and explain myself about that.
Wow.
Crazy, man. That's crazy. Right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just reading this other document, and it's crazy how you know, this book that we're reading right now, Jews Selling Blacks, how it literally calls out the fallacies of this document. I'm gonna send this document to those who ask for it, right? So let's get back to this PDF. Get back to this, right? They speak loftily concerning our oppression. These creatures made a poem. They made songs concerning our oppression, right? Look at this. This is a advertisement, right, of slaves by Maurice Barnett of Baton Rouge. Shout out to Captain Gotham. Right?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Kind of the one. Maurice Barnett of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, operated the auction house of Jacobs and Asbridge. He was such a prolific slave dealer that 20th century picture postcards of the old slave block depict his office at 40 St. Louis Street. He was a very close associate of the slave breeding Jewish pirate Jean Lafitte. Barnett preferred the quality of Lafitte's African product. According to Rabbi I. Harold Scharfman, these products were sturdy and healthy. For only the hardiest blacks survived confinement in the deep, dark, stuffy holes of the slave ships, not to mention the contagious diseases and brutal treatment that marked their months-long journey.
That's such a heavy point because it just goes to show how they really viewed our people at that time. They viewed them as products. Yo, the CEO of McDonald's, when he was eating his own food, his own company's food, he didn't even call it food. He said, "Oh yeah, this product." What does that mean? That's vague. Hold on. And of course, there's no real substance. There's no real truth or love behind that. To call a person a product goes to show the mindset and the attitude that they have towards people, right? People with the same fashion, the same creation as them. That's why the Most High set us apart from them, because whereas our people, they're so loving towards everybody, these other nations just only see us as nothing but cattle, products, and just objects, man. That's wicked as God knows what. I'm gonna yield there.
Right. This is from the publication of the American Jewish Historical Society, right? So what Kwame Allah is saying is very true because the other article, right, it tries to downplay or make it seem as though the Jewish population viewed slaves as civilized human beings. They did not. They viewed them as cattle. That's why it's called chattel slavery, right? And let me tell you something about McDonald's, man. It's just a quick sidebar. McDonald's claims to serve 1 million customers every day, right? Last time I checked, McDonald's doesn't have any beef farms. And they claim to serve 1 million customers every day. But McDonald's doesn't have any cow farms. 1 million customers a day. That's a lot of people. And there's a lot of McDonald's in the world. Do with that information what you will. As for me and my house, we are never consuming McDonald's ever again. All right. 100% beef, though. 100% beef. 100% premium Angus beef. Okay.
It's a lot.
Sure. See that?
You know what's going on with these grave sites turning up with no bodies in them. Anyways, go ahead.
Kind of the one I was going to say, Israel, we got to think critically. Go on your own and look up how long it actually takes to raise a cow so that it is primed for eating. It's not enough cows in the world, in America.
Just saying, man. You know, I mean, yeah, hey, if you want to, you know, continue enjoying your goy slop, you know, that's on you. Look at this. Cohen and Alexander, right? The cargo of the Bright Palisade from Cape Francois, conflicting of sugar in barrels and jars, a few hogsheads of high-proof Jamaica rum, Tafia, claret, brandy, Madeira, and port wines in cafes, sweet oil in cafes, palmettum, hair powder, writing paper, nails, linens, Negro jackets.
Calicos.
Say that again?
Calicos.
Calicos. What's that?
No, we can look it up though.
Handkerchiefs, Negro blankets, almonds and bags, raffins, napkins, white leather corks, liquors, cappers, and more. What else? What else they got? On Wednesday, July the 20th, will be sold by order of the admitted. It's a little blended in right there. Admitted Tractics, I don't know. At her house, number 10, Veterans Alley. Right? Several valuable Negroes. These are just some ads that they posted, right? From Cohen and Moses. This other article goes into Cohen and Moses, right? Matter of fact, where is it? I think it's right here. Matter of fact, Joseph Cohen, right? I'll show y'all something about Joseph Cohen. Right? This is in that other article on the National Archives, right? Look at this. Acts of kindness towards Negroes were the only relief in the reality of a system which placed white masters in a position of absolute and total control of their slaves. Jews participated in every aspect and process of the exploitation of the defenseless blacks. The most extreme case on record was the murder of a slave by Joseph Cohen of Lynchburg, Virginia in 1819, a crime for which he was indicted and tried and convicted, although, of course, the penalty for the murder of a Negro by a white was much less severe than the penalty for a trivial misdemeanor committed by a Negro. Right? So Joseph Cohen, right, as he's, posting ads selling his Negroes, is also a murderer of one of his quote unquote Negroes, right? Remember, this is all just to show you proof that the Jewish population in America was heavily involved in the slave trade of our people, right? This is going more into, this is just more advertising posts, right, of our people. On Monday, the 3rd November at 12 o'clock will be sold before our store 40 prime young Africans, right? Right? Look at this. Africans at auction. This day, the 31st of November at 12 o'clock will be sold before our store 40 prime young Africans. Right? Another ad by Cohen and Moses. This day, the 11th, at 12 o'clock will be sold before our store one Negro wench, a good washer and ironer, also an African wench, with her daughter, a girl of about 14 years of age, and a prime African fellow. They want cash. Well, I mean, of course, that's all they had. It's not like they had chime or nothing like that. Right? Monday, the 17th, 24 prime Africans, all in good order. Right? So they're just posting their sources of the many advertisements that these Jews made, selling our people. Right? So we're just going to scroll down a bit. Right? Let's read about Abraham Cohen.
Another one. Abraham Cohen of the Georgetown District of South Carolina was the Postmaster General and a slave dealing auctioneer who held 21 Africans as slaves. He was a trustee of synagogue of Beth Elohim in 1791. Notice to be sold at Georgetown the 8th day of March. All the estate of Mr. John Graham, planter, deceased. Okay, deceased, consisting of excellent field slaves, wearing apparel or horse silver watch, and I guess that's etc.
I guess so, yeah.
By order of the executor Abraham Cohen.
Right? So Abraham Cohen, right? Because where's this guy's name? John Graham. John Graham was deceased planter, right? He was a plantation owner. Abraham Cohen was in charge of selling off his estate, right? That's basically what this is showing you. And he was a trustee of the synagogue in Beth Elohim in 1791, right? Let's read about Jacob Cohen.
Another one. Jacob Cohen, 1741 to 1808 of Charleston, owned a plantation and worked 294 enslaved blacks. He was president of his synagogue congregation Beth Elohim, 1790.
He was president of his synagogue congregation. And mind you, during this time, the new Judaism was being pushed out, inviting all those who eschewed bigotry. But here you have Jacob Cohen, who's president of his synagogue congregation in Beth Elohim, who owned 294 enslaved blacks. Right, right, exactly, Yahweh, this reformed version of Judaism, right? Meanwhile, they're currently owning and selling their slaves, right? All the household furniture, plate, Negroes, and etc. belonging to the estate of the said deceased, conditions will be made known on the day of sale by order of Jacob Cohen, right? Yo, let's get some more. Public auction. By permission of the Ordinary of Charleston District, a large assortment of goods, wares, and merchandise. Also, 15 Negro slaves. Among them is a man. I hate how they wrote their S's. Like, it's so weird. Several wailing women, a carpenter.
Washing woman.
Washing women, a carpenter, and 2 young fellows who are handy about the house and horses belonging to the estate of Philip Hart, deceased. The sale will commence on Monday, the 2nd of May, and to be continued until the whole be sold. Right? So a lot of their business ventures were selling off estates, selling off plantations. Right? This is pretty heavy involvement. Selling off somebody's estate is not a light task, right? That's not a light task. That's some heavy involvement, right? Look at this. Jacob Cohen, Jewish auctioneer of Charleston, South Carolina, also had a slave sale advertisement in the Charleston Daily Courier. Slaves were a substantial part of his business. Cohen was the 10th largest Charleston dealer in slaves, earning $2,500 in commissions on slave sales in 1860. Let's look something up real quick. What is the value of $2,500 in 1860 to today? Wow. Look at this. Read that.
25. Oh, Salakia.
$2,500 in 1860 is equivalent in purchasing power to approximately $99,461.75 today, as of April 2026, representing 3,878.47% cumulative inflation increase over 166 years. This means prices today are roughly 39.78 times higher than they were in 1860.
So having $2,500 in 1860 is like walking around with $99,461.75. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money in commissions. That's a lot of money. Right? Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. We're just going over the direct involvement that Jews had. Because remember, in part one of this series, we covered the quote unquote indirect involvement, the less hands-on involvement. But now we're in the hands-on involvement. So now we're full circle. Part one, we covered the investment into the stocks of these slave trade corporations. Now we're on boots on ground, right? Directly hands-on enslavement, right? I'm gonna scroll down to, because they have a lot of advertisements, right? Let me zoom out some. Right? I'm gonna scroll down to let's read about Benjamin Mordecai.
Kind of the one. Benjamin Mordecai was a slave trader in Charleston, South Carolina. He dealt in huge numbers of blacks and penned them up like livestock. Mordecai regularly shipped slaves to New Orleans between 1846 and 1860 and bought at least 102 slaves at the Charleston District Judicial Slaves of the 1850s. In 1859, Mordecai purchased $12,000 worth of slaves in a single sale. On April 8th, 1861, the Secession Convention passed a special resolution to thank Mordecai, who made the first and largest contribution, which was $10,000, to the cause of the Confederacy. Mordecai also offered a large number of Negroes to work in the cause.
Wow. Benjamin Mordecai contributed $10,000 to the cause of the Confederacy. What is $10,000 in 1860? What's the value of that?
Salakia.
Go ahead.
I looked up $12,000, right? Because we bought that in one day, and that's $483,238.54 today.
Wow. So he donated $397,846.99 to the cause of the Confederacy. That's some heavy involvement. To the cause of the Confederacy.
One.
Who went to war against the Union for the preservation of their slaves. This don't sound like Mordecai wanted to emancipate his slaves. This sounds like Mordecai wanted to maintain his status amongst other whites as someone of value, because that's what this other article goes into as well. A lot of, the Jewish population in the Americas, they thought it to be extremely important, right, to be recognized of high status amongst, American whites, because they themselves were foreigners from Europe, right? And a big part of that is becoming a slave owner, right? But go ahead,
Hey, counter to one. We just seen something like this recently. Even though this company isn't exactly Jewish, but it's ultimately Esau helping Esau, right? Shoot, we seen this with the Southern Poverty Law Center paying the Klan to host events where people was legitimately losing their lives and getting injured at. So them helping each other monetarily was even happening at this point concerning, the Jewish involvement within a slave trade, them paying the Confederacy within these points. But even today, right? Within they constantly had their hands within our oppression, and they make sure that they got the money to be able to do it. And I yield the other one.
Look at this real quick. Remember we talked about Benjamin P. Judah? Look at this. Judah P. Benjamin, I mean. Start right here. He rose rapidly.
Another one. He rose rapidly, both at the bar and in politics, becoming a wealthy slave-holding planter who was elected to and served in both houses of the Louisiana legislature prior to his election by the legislature to the U.S. Senate in 1852. There he was a vocal advocate of slavery. After Louisiana seceded in 1861, Benjamin resigned as senator and returned to New Orleans. He soon moved to Richmond after Confederate President Jefferson Davis appointed him as Attorney General.
Right?
Benjamin.
So, see the David, this is exactly who we're talking about, right? Judah P. Benjamin was elected Attorney General, appointed Attorney General of the Confederate States, right? This is a Jewish man who did not renounce his beliefs. Keep that in mind, right? Let me, y'all don't believe me. Y'all don't believe me, right? Read this. Benjamin was the first Jew.
Benjamin was the first Jew to hold a cabinet position in North America and the first to be elected in the United States to the United States Senate who had not renounced his faith.
He didn't renounce his faith. No. He held staunchly to his belief, his religious practices, and yet was appointed Attorney General of the Confederate States to preserve slavery and the attempt to preserve slavery. Right? Go back right here. Benjamin had little to do.
Another one. Benjamin had little to do in that position, but Davis was impressed by his competence and appointed him as Secretary of War.
Now he's Secretary of War.
He was a firm supporter of Davis, who reciprocated that loyalty by promoting him to Secretary of State in March 1862. While Benjamin was being criticized for the Confederate defeat at Roanoke Island.
That's it on that. Right? That's it on that. So he was ultimately appointed to become Secretary of State, Secretary of the Confederate States. Jewish man, Judah P. Benjamin, the most famous Jewish slave owner. Right? Oh, but the Jewish involvement in slavery was minor, though. It was of little to no consequence. That's what they will tell you. They will tell you that it was of little to no consequence. They speak wickedly and loftily concerning your oppression, Akim and Aqua. They do. Benjamin Mordecai donated equivalent to today's money, $397,000 to the Confederates' attempts of preserving slavery. But it was of little to no consequence, their involvement in the slave trade, right? Jews became 20% major shareholders in the East Indian Company, which thrived off of its business of slavery, but their involvement in slavery was of little to no consequence. Right? Right? I mean, what do we do? What do we do with that information? I think what we do with that information is solidify the fact that these people are not, have never been, and never will be your friends, will never be your allies, right? They will never have the best interest in in sight, in mind, right? They will never have your best interest in mind. Go ahead,
Counter to one. Let's get Sirach 6 and 13. Just to that point.
Counter to one.
They want you to put on the blue square that they had at the Super Bowl, and here it is. All this has just been swept under the rug, right? Put on a blue square for them. Check this out, man. Read what you got.
This is the book of Sirach 6 and 13. Separate thyself from thine enemy, and take heed of thy friends.
So the purpose of this lesson is to learn that who our friends and who our enemies are, man. A friend wouldn't play such a heavy role within the destruction of your people. An ally to your people wouldn't do nothing like this to you, right? So when we go back through history and we see, okay, these is not our friends, man. The scripture says, do what? Read that one more time.
Separate thyself from thine enemies, and take heed of thy friends.
To separate ourselves from our enemies and to take heed of our friends, man. And I yield that on.
Yo, look at this, right? Because again, it was of little to no consequence, right? Look at this. Meyer Moses. Let's read about Meyer Moses real quick. What was he?
Connor the one. Meyer Moses, 1777 to 1833, of Charleston, South Carolina, had a long record of civil leadership as a state legislator, a commissioner of schools, a director of the Planters and Mechanics Bank, a major in the War of 1812, and as a major slave dealer. Also, he was an official of the Hebrew Orphan Society. His father, Meyer Moses, was one of the earliest Jewish settlers of Charleston and a thriving merchant there.
Mayor Moses was a director of the Planters. Planters are people who own plantations, right? They have slaves. He was a director of the Planters in his area. That's a high appointed role, right? A director of the Planters. You know what? Let's do this. Look at this. Look at this. Kazala, say something real quick.
Salaki,
Connor the one. Oh, you got a quick point, Yock?
Connor the one.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, if we can just, if our people could at least just look up, it don't even take much. Like, if we could just look up and look at the world around us. For example, I live in a little town in South Louisiana called Kaplan. Kaplan was founded by a Jewish man named Abram Kaplan, and the entire town is divided by a boulevard, and we literally have a white side of town and a black side of town. And the black side of town is still impoverished to this day. And it's like every other year they add more on the white side of town, more amenities, more things for children to do. So if kids want to go have a good time, they gotta go across the boulevard. Like, it's just I yield with that.
Con, it just goes to show that even to this day, out of all the changes that can be made, all the changes that could be made, it's just like the general's been teaching a lot lately. Esau's had this world to himself. These other nations have been at the top of this thing. And rather than wanting to be known for being the greatest people upon the face of the earth because of how great of a place they made the earth, instead they choose to have the abundance for themselves. Instead, they choose to keep everything to a point where we're constantly on your neck, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American. They could have made everything good for everybody. They've had that power to, but this is the mindset of the wicked, man. Give me Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 real quick.
Another one. What verse?
Let me see what I want. Go to Wisdom of Solomon. Just start at verse 1 real quick.
Another one. This is Wisdom of Solomon, starting at verse 1, chapter 2. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither
So
will...
like, this is going into the mindset of the ungodly, right? Jump down to verse number 6.
Verse 6. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
And of course, that's what they view us as. They view us as creatures, 3/5 of a human being. They view us as products, as cattle, and they want to speedily use us in every way, shape, or form that they can, man. And of course, that shows all throughout history, man. That's why we can't forget about these things. The moment that we forget about it, the moment that we open up that door and we get thrust through, man, right? You getting backdoored by letting your enemies pull the wool over your eyes concerning the things that they've done, man. You forget about your history, you bound to repeat that thing, man. Continue. Jump down to verse 10.
Another one. Verse 10. Let us oppress the poor, righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
So again, continue to read.
Another one. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
And of course, they've created a whole system based around oppressing us and our people. Don't matter if it's our women, don't matter if it's our children, don't matter if it's our elderly. They've created the whole system to center around just that and keep them at the top, man. Because the Lord said that we would be in this Satan condition, that we be under the hands of the most despiteful and boastful haters of God. That's why the message to our people is going to be consistently repentance, man, so that we can remove the Jewish hand over, again, that they had over our people and that they still have on the minds of our nation today, man. And I yield there.
What is this? What's the director of the planters? What is that?
Another one. In the context of the American South around 1860, a director of the planters, commonly known as an overseer, was the white manager responsible for the daily operations of a plantation. They bridged the gap between the plantation owner, and the enslaved laborers, holding a position of immense authority and pressure to produce high agricultural yields.
So, Mayor Moses was you have the overseers, and he's like the overseer of the overseers. That's what Mayor Moses was, right? That's a pretty important role in the antebellum South, right? Because that tells us what? That his job was to ensure that productivity flowed smoothly, right? And disciplinary actions, when required, were done, right? Keeping the machine running, keeping the ball rolling. That was his job. But he also had school board positions as well, right? This is to show you that these are the types of minds that were. These are the types of minds that built the society that you have today, right? Slave owner minds that are in positions of heads of school boards, right? State secretaries, secretaries of war, right? Attorney generals. This is what your nation, this is what this nation was built off of, founded off of. Right? Look at this though. This goes right into what I'm talking about. Right?
Kind of one.
The yellow star inscribed with the word Jew on the left has become a symbol of Nazi persecution of Jews in the World War II era. A 1941 decree required that Jews wear these badges within the Nazi-occupied areas. The cloth badge was to be prominently displayed on every Jew's clothing for easy identification. A century earlier in Charleston, South Carolina, Jewish Constable Moses Levi reminded the population of the 1813 ordinance to regulate badges for Negroes. His notice in the Southern Patriot newspaper warned that the regulation required that all Negroes or other slaves working out on hire shall wear the badge received from the city treasurer, which is on the right, conspicuously about their persons. And it shall be lawful for any person to command any Negro or other slave applying for hire or working out to produce his or her badge signed by Moses Levi, police officer. Violation of this pre-Nazi Nazism meant corporal punishment for blacks. In Charleston alone, several Jews were officially responsible for enforcing the slave badge ordinance and for the apprehension and punishment of black people who wanted freedom more than slavery.
Now these are just the names of constables and detectives and sheriffs and marshals, right, during this time period. All these people are Jewish, right? Read on.
Another one. Mordecai Sheftel Jr. served as police chief in Savannah, Georgia, between 1849 and 1851. Savannah's other Jewish officials included judges Levi S. de Leon and Mordecai Sheftel Sr., 5 sheriffs and 5 clerks. Part of their sworn duties included the regulation of slaves and freemen.
So you had judges, sheriffs, secretaries of state, right? Attorney generals, right? All who so happen to be Jewish. And all who just so happen to have major hands and major roles in the operation of the transatlantic slave trade. Not to mention the shareholders within the East India Company who were Jewish. An entire Jewish community, in fact, you check out part 1 of our lesson, an entire Jewish community was built up off of the money that was being made by those shareholders. They were bringing that money back to their community, right? To which the East India Company sent a letter to that community saying, hey, y'all can keep giving us y'all money and investing in us, and we will continue doing business with you, but we don't want you a part of our community. but we'll continue doing business with you, right? First-hand proof showing that this Jewish community were major shareholders in this company and getting rich and prosperous off of the backs of your ancestors. But their role was minuscule, right? Because it wasn't that many of them. That's the argument that they'll try to use. Their role was minor because the Jewish population wasn't that big, but their impact was big. Their impact was heavy, right? Because they poured all of their resources, if not all, if not all, most of their resources into the operation of the transatlantic slave trade. That is what they did, right? Y'all got anything else to bring out before we shut it down?
Kind of
Well,
one.
Go ahead.
You got it, Kyle. You go.
yeah, just to note and to put into context how big that was, or how big of an impact that they used, right? That one guy, I think it was Judah P. Benjamin, who at one sitting, right, one sale, he purchased at that time it was $12,000 worth of slaves, which is 480 something thousand dollars today. That was just at one sale, one purchase,
Right.
right? And he donated the equivalent of 380 something thousand dollars, to the Confederacy. So you can imagine how much more money he invested, and then you multiply that by all these other slave traders or Jewish slave traders and profiteers and etc. So yeah, it was big money, big money. You would
Salakia.
Right.
Kind of the one. I've been having this on my spirit for a while, and when you brought out the information about the song, how they sang or they made these poems in a lofty manner, braggadocious and arrogant, regarding our oppression, it made me think just like our people, like we need to, as a nation, speak loftily when it comes to our most high power, because and it just made me think of the last words that our forefather David said before he slew Goliath. Before I said, I think about, like last conversation for the nation, we seen these children shooting from 400 yards, hitting a target. We see the old money that these people have. Like that money is still circulating. The money that they use for that 300 or that 2005, that money still is circulating amongst our enemies. And from the outside looking in, it seems as though the children of Israel are without hope.
Right.
But when you read these words that our forefather David spoke to Goliath, I'm gonna just read it. This is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 17, starting at verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, "Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel." So these people come with the money. These people come with this power. They come with this political agenda. But we gotta come in the name of our Father unapologetically. And the Most High, by Hashem Mashiach Yahushua, he's going to move. He's going to move. It is already promised that when we wake up in the land of our captivities, and remember, he's going to give us, he's going to bring us back into that land. So,
that's right, that's right. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushua. Right? There's nothing that these creatures can do. There's no hope in their end. Their end is failure. Their end is destruction. It's nigh to come, right? Our salvation is nigh to come, right? The scriptures say that they will marvel at the strangeness of our salvation, and they will say, surely their fathers have inherited lives. I can only imagine the weeping and the gnashing of teeth that's going to happen when our salvation comes, man. And they're sitting there crying and screaming, realizing that everything that they built is in vain. All the attempts to suppress and diminish us and to exterminate us has been in vain. When the glory of our God cracks the heavens and smites the earth, man.
Precept on one.
I long for that day. I long for that day. So we got to make sure that we're right. All right, go ahead, Ak.
Counter to one. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, behold. I'll start at verse 8.
Right.
It says, I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
That's right, Ak. That's right. They're going to come and worship at your feet, man. Because they're going to realize they are not the true Jews, man. They are not the Israelites according to the Bible. They are the physical arm of Satan. And what do the scriptures say? Once we are made righteous, once we're in our salvation, there will be no need of Satan. Satan will be cast into the lake of fire. So what end is that for these creatures, man, for these vessels made unto dishonor? There will be no need for them. There will be none remaining of the house of Esau, as the mighty prophet Obadiah says, man. Right? There is no trying to save them. There will be none remaining of the house of Esau. That means the entirety of the nation. There ain't no good ones. There ain't no nice ones. No.
Vassals.
Vassals, no. All of our prophets had to go into captivity. Our prophets were hunted. Our prophets were literally hunted down and executed. Right? In the time of Jezebel. Right?
Right.
They weren't wicked men. They were righteous men unto the Lord, but they were hunted down and destroyed. What end shall it be for Esau? Complete destruction. They shall be swept with the besom of destruction, man. Right? All glory to our mighty God. All right? So, family, what y'all realize tonight is that albeit that the population of American Jews, quote unquote American Jews, be little during the times of chattel slavery, the impact that they had within chattel slavery was felt and was quite significant. All right? I pray that y'all were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Mashiach Yahushua. All right, I pray that y'all learned something new. For those of you that want those PDFs, email SOT Israelite, not SOT Israelites, email SOT Watch Tower at gmail.com, and I'll make sure I get those over to you. All right. Make sure that y'all are keeping up with our feast days. We had a third month, Savan, coming up May 16th. Email SOTfeastday at gmail.com to RSVP so we can have the proper accommodations for you. My brothers out there who want to do the work, email SOTisraelites at gmail.com so that you can be in the queue for the next prospect phase, and likewise, my sisters. You want to be in the queue for the next prospect phase of Pillars of Rest, email pillarsofrest@gmail.com. All right? Make sure that y'all are continuing to support our Patreon, the best spiritual edification on the internet. All right? Tune in to all of our weekly classes. And don't forget to tune in to the Sunday class, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SOT Chicago channel, hosted by the mighty Captain Kwabza Alam. All right, y'all don't want to miss that. It's a new segment that's being presented by SOT Chicago. All right, with that being said, make sure that you subscribe and like every video from our various SOT channels. All right, we are blowing up, man. The Most High God is increasing us. All praises. All right. Oh, please remember to send in the emails for the SOT scholars if you like your child to be recognized as an SOT scholar. All right, we want to make sure that the children are recognized for their valiant efforts. All right. All right. Hey, listen, family. Keep enduring to the end. All right, and ye shall be saved. Khan, strive for greatness. Khan,
one.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you for watching. If you wish to donate, you can use Zelle or PayPal. We're the Sons of Thunder. It's our heart's prayer and desire for Israel that they might be saved. Shalom.